woman has looked on in horror after her husband was attacked and killed by a shark in Byron Bay.
It's an all too familiar Australian tragedy, another deadly shark attack on our shores.
A bystander spotted the swimmer in shallow water.
Beachgoers pulled the 50-year-old from the water as onlookers tried desperately to save him.
Leaving a family devastated and a community demanding action to prevent more fatalities.
Police on arrival of the scene immediately had everyone out of the water.
But half a world away in South Africa, a team of experts are transforming our understanding of the fearsome great white shark. And they're developing a revolutionary eco-barrier that turns sharks away.
Okay, it's activated, let's drop.
They're led by Mike Rutson, a man who insists we aren't natural prey for great whites. And he goes to extraordinary lengths to prove it. What possesses you to get in the water with them?
I spent 4.5 years on a boat, just observing them from the boat and learning about them. And what we discovered, they're not mindless killers. They're actually very intelligent animals and curious animals.
Mike is a commercial fisherman turned shark dive operator who is now on a mission to change our perception of great white sharks and save them from extinction. How would you like people to see the great white shark?
It's the most amazing, beautiful apex predator on the planet.
Because that's the way you see it.
They're perfect.
I've come to the bottom of South Africa to a place called Hansby. How far out are we headed?
We're going 5.3 miles offshore to an island system called Dyer Island. It's the white shark capital of the world.
And plenty of sharks?
This is the time of the year. The most sharks we saw in one day here is 48.
Mike Rutson intends to prove that here at Shark Alley, 5.3 nautical miles off the coast, I will be able to dive with great whites outside of a cage. Not in an act of madness, but as a calculated risk.
This is what it looks like when they're upset. But it's what we call gaping.
So it just opens its mouth slightly. So that's a sign of aggression?
Well, it's a sign that that animal's unhappy with what you are doing.
Before Mark Rutson allows me into the water, he gives me a briefing on great white behaviour. The do's and don'ts of interaction Mike has learnt over 2 decades.
Oh. I don't want to see this. What did you do wrong?
They need an entry and exit pattern.
The most important rule is do not get between a shark and its prey.
So you will see, if we go into the water, we are going to situate ourselves up current from the smell source.
Mm-hmm. So what do I need to do when I get in the water?
Just don't run away from them. Don't move towards them. Always keep eye contact with the animal. And if it comes to you, stand the ground you're in. Mm-hmm. It's the way we behave.
So if I swim away, they're going to chase.
Automatically your food.
Food.
Back out at Shark Alley, the crew chum the water with fish guts and blood to entice the sharks in. And it doesn't take long to get their attention.
I'm going to put you in the cage now.
A cage dive will be my safe introduction to great whites.
It's a nice big animal here now. It's about 3.5 meters.
Okay.
So that's teenager size for them.
3.5 meters is big.
Okay, good luck. The shark's already
my feet on the edge?
Yeah,
Put your feet on the yellow and just step down the cage.
All of a sudden, the steel cage feels flimsy.
Go down.
Shark's not gonna
No,
have a
no.
munch of that.
They are not man-eaters, but they're going to be very curious of you.
Being so close to the species of shark that has killed more humans than any other is awe-inspiring. Great whites have been swimming the oceans for at least 16 million years, yet much of their life remains a mystery. There are still huge gaps in our knowledge of their breeding, migration, and population dynamics. That was just amazing. I've never swum with great whites before. We had about 8 around the cage and they came right up against it and you could see their eyes and you could tell that there was an intelligence there, that they were checking me out as much as I was checking them out. They are terrifying, but just magnificent.
Why do you think we fear the great white so much? Probably more than any other animal.
Mostly, I think, is lack of knowledge. The moment you start knowing something, you stop fearing it. I'm not saying they're puppy dogs. I'm not saying we must go there and cuddle them. They are predators, make no mistakes. Oh, no.
Sara Andriotti is an Italian marine biologist working with Mike Rutson.
That one, you can see, is the right-hand side.
She has built up the largest great white database of any scientist. Over 280 individuals have had their dorsal fins photographed, and each is unique like a human fingerprint. And then their DNA is sampled. This is key baseline data, and as shocking as it is for the sharks,
Yes, that one. Got it.
so too are the results. Sara has concluded their population here, in the great white capital of the world, is just a fraction of what's been previously estimated.
So how many great whites are there in South Africa?
Preliminary, we are looking at 500 of them. 500 individuals,
That's all.
that's all.
See, I would have thought there'd be thousands of great whites off the
us
coast
too.
here.
We hope so too. In 1994, they estimated 1,300.
Did those results shock you?
Yep, really.
So it makes them incredibly fragile.
Yes, very fragile. That's the biggest problem.
Coming up, the invention that could make our beaches safer.
Not a single shark swam through the barrier.
And outside the cage, face to face with a great white shark. That's next on 60 Minutes. Our response to a great white shark is always the same. Fear, dread. But not for this man. South African Mike Rutson has studied great whites the hard way, by putting his body on the line out here. Do people look at you and think you're mad?
Definitely, I would have my critics.
Are you mad?
Most of the time. But not with the sharks.
Mike has become a champion for the great white sharks because he fears they're on the brink of extinction. If there are so few great whites out there, why are we seeing more fatal attacks?
That is the million-dollar question. It could be because we are killing all their food resources. They are bunched up on the last few food resources. Where hunger is the greatest motivator, then you'll eat anything.
That's perfect, Mike.
Dr. Craig O'Connell is an American scientist also working with Mike. Together, they are trying to develop a natural barrier system for great whites. As these Cape fur seals know, sharks don't like swimming through kelp. In a series of tests, Craig has deployed food traps in areas of varying kelp density. Where there is little kelp, the sharks are happy to go for the bait. But when the bait traps are dropped amongst the kelp, the sharks stay away. This curious seal and an octopus don't appear to have the same problem.
Deploy it for about 2 hours. We watch the footage later on to see exactly what's going on. And so far, after about 96 hours of observation, we have not seen a great white shark go into the high-density kelp areas.
So Craig has designed this, an artificial kelp forest that also has shark-repelling magnets inside the stalks. Think of it like a marine picket fence with a force field, which could last up to 15 years and replace shark nets, making beaches safer for both swimmers and the sharks.
For the past 2 years, we've deployed a nice, about 56-meter-long barrier right here in this very spot. And we were chumming through that barrier constantly, and we never had a shark swim through the barrier. So it's definitely promising technology.
How much would it cost to put a barrier like this across a beach, say, 1 kilometre long?
We're trying to determine the exact cost, but the way we're working on it right now is that we want it to be almost identical to what it would cost for beach nets.
But as the quest for eco-friendly alternatives to nets and culling continues, the original question remains: are humans on the great white's menu?
Sharky,
Mike Rutson says definitely not.
2 sharkies.
And today, I'm going to help prove it.
Oh, that's a big animal.
If you told me a week ago that I was about to dive with great white sharks without a cage, I would have said it was an act of madness. But having spent time here with Mike and seeing what he does, maybe it's not so crazy. These animals aren't indiscriminate killing machines. They're not going to attack the moment I get in the water. Still, I must admit I'm terrified. This could be the best or worst experience of my life.
If you are nervous, your whole body language changes and they can read that.
So basically don't flinch even
Don't-
when they're coming right at you.
Just stand still, relax. If you are uncomfortable with the distance they at, exhale. They don't like the scuba bubbles. You'll see immediately the animal turn and go away.
Feels like it's a game of chicken.
It's a game of chess.
With Mike as my chaperone, we enter the chilly waters of Shark Alley. The water here is less than 10 metres deep, so it's a matter of steadily but quickly sinking to the bottom and wait for the great whites. The swell has you constantly moving. The visibility isn't great, about 8 metres. The sharks will see us before we see them. It takes 10 minutes before a big 4.5 metre shark moves in for a closer look and then disappears. As cold and nerve-wracking as this is, we have to work to the shark's schedule, not the other way round. Finally, a 3.5 metre shark comes right in for a good look. Then another. Soon, we are being buzzed. Eventually, one heads straight towards me. This isn't the time to panic. I'm not even sure how many sharks were down there, but they kept... The visibility wasn't great, so they were, by the time you saw them, they were right on top of you, and they were so close. They were so close.
all I kept seeing was their teeth. But they're so beautiful in the water. They are seriously magnificent animals. Did you see that one that went right
Right over
top?
us.
And there's that moment where you can't actually see, you don't know where it's gone, but it's, oh, that was really freaky. That was really freaky.
They're beautiful.
They really are.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
A pleasure.
I'm not sure I will do it again, but being in the water with great whites was truly an experience I will never forget. And as scary as it was, Mike Rutson says the prospect of an ocean without great whites is much more frightening.
If we do not keep the biodiversity that sustains us, we just won't be here.
So we need these animals for our survival.
I think every species on the planet needs each other for their survival, including humans.
Hello, I'm Alison Langdon. Thanks for watching. To keep up with the latest from 60 Minutes Australia, make sure you subscribe to our channel. You can also download the 9Now app for full episodes and other exclusive 60 Minutes content.